The building you're looking at right behind me is what was formerly known as the Deauville Hotel and Beach Resort here in Miami Beach, Florida, located right in my neighborhood in North Beach. Now, since I lived in this neighborhood for 14 years, I've actually been inside this hotel several times in the past, back when it was operating, but this place has actually been shut down and out of operation ever since around June or July 2017, and the building was actually never able to reopen and start operating as a hotel again ever since then. And this video is basically going to be the story of how this classic beach hotel ended up like this. Looks like I arrived just in time to see a car accident here, right over by the Deauville. So let me tell you a little bit of the history that I know about what happened here. So back in 2017, there was an electrical fire here in one of the elevator shafts. And they pretty much evacuated the entire building overnight. And as you can imagine, there's a bunch of guests staying in the hotel, and they had to ship them off to a different hotel somewhere here in Miami. And after that electrical fire happened, they were supposed to reopen the hotel after things got resolved, but what ended up happening is the city came in and they looked at what was going on here, and they saw a bunch of other different code violations and problems with the building that would need to be resolved before they would be allowed to open back up. And then basically the owner of the place never wanted to do any of the necessary repairs or whatever would need to be done to get the place back into operating order, and it has sat empty ever since then. And that was about June 2017, and fast forward to today, it is now March of 2022, so very close to 5 years now. So they already started demolishing this outside facade here by the front driveway, and as you can see, they got all this scaffolding stuff here lined up, probably for when they're gonna start doing like the dynamite part, because this whole part right here I guess is going to be demolished by implosion. And then this part over here they're kind of doing little by little with these bulldozers and things like that, so I'm not exactly sure how that's all going to end up. But basically this part right here they're going to be imploding, and the rest of it I think they're going to bring down with just traditional methods like these bulldozers, because I don't think they need to implode a couple-story building here. So besides this place being a hotel, you can see like this is like the hotel portion up there, and then inside here is a grand ballroom that they have. And then this area down here where you see like this shorter part of the building actually used to be a bunch of retail shops. So I'll take you guys along the little way here so you can get the idea. So this used to be a little food stand. They used to sell like ice cream and hot dogs, things like that. You can even still see the menu right there. They got tuna sandwiches, Cuban sandwiches, Philly cheesesteak. They got empanadas, smoothies, things like that. And then down this way, I remember used to be, I think it was a cell phone store or a computer repair store. Used to be right over here in one of these spots. Yeah, you can see right there, Metro PCS, still got the sign. And then they put like a little art gallery or something like that in this one here. And then towards the end, they used to have like actually a really big gym in here. Used to have an Enterprise. Lots of little businesses used to be here. Like this whole spot right here used to be nail salon, hair, nails, and it was all mixed with this gym that used to be right next door. And you can see that with the windows they kind of spray painted them and stuff so you can't see inside no more, and just see how bad a condition it's really in, because it's pretty bad, I'm sure, after all this time sitting empty. About 4.5, almost 5 years now, this place has just been sitting shuttered like this. And then when we come around to the other side, ironically enough, there used to be a small little building next door here that they just demolished probably a year ago, maybe. And then this is around to the other side of the Deauville here. I don't think I'm supposed to be in here, but let me go in here for a minute just to show you guys what it's like. And when you come over this way is actually when you get to the pool area by the Deauville. So I'll try to show you guys a little bit of that from here, and then I'll go around to the beach side so you guys can get an idea of kind of how this place looks. But for a long time this place has been empty, and it's been attracting, you know, drug addicts and homeless to come in here. You can see people were like breaking in right here, coming through, and they just do these little, you know, makeshift gates here to stop people from coming in, but obviously anybody could just hop over this, and that's exactly what was happening. So check this out. The pool's all graffitied up now. Place is falling apart. You can see the whole area here is completely overgrown with grass and the trees and stuff that are there, the bushes. And I'll put up some pictures and stuff that I have here from the times that I was here at the Deauville, so you guys can kind of see what it used to look like and then how all this area looks right now. This is a view from back when you're inside the hotel overlooking the pool. Back in the glory days when the place was open, you see everybody chilling out there in the hot tub and everything like that. And then of course you can see the Sherry Frontenac next door with the pool fully operational here in this one. And then that's just a nice nighttime shot I have back when the lights were on inside the place too. And actually, while I'm walking around to the other side, I just figured I'd show you guys that right next door to the Deauville is another classic Miami Beach hotel, the Sherry Frontenac. And I think it's just about as old as the Deauville, really. Similar type of architecture that they used back then in the mid-50s. But this place is still going. In fact, in the back, they're already putting on some balconies and stuff. I'll show you when I get back to the beach side. So while we're heading over to the back side of the Deauville, I just wanted to show you the back of the Sherry Frontenac here. You can see they're actually installing balconies on the back end of this building. They did one tower already. It looks pretty nice, and you can kind of see the before and after. That's before, this is after. So at least they're doing what they need to do to maintain this very old hotel, because let's face it guys, especially after the Surfside collapse, this is one of the reasons they're demolishing the Deauville, because this place is basically a threat. It's a hazard now, because I was actually one of the first people in the neighborhood to realize that chunks of concrete were literally falling off of the building, and that was well over a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago now. And I'll show you what I mean as we get a little bit closer. But now that you guys can see the building as we're coming up on it, a little bit of the history is that this place was built in 1957, and the most famous thing that the Deauville was known for back in the day was they had the Beatles perform here on the Ed Sullivan Show back in 1964. That's always like the main quoted story that everybody knows about the Deauville. And there's been a lot of other historical things that have happened here over the years, but that's the one that I know and so many other people know as well. But basically the place, as you can see, has seen better days. And as we get a little bit closer here, you'll see what I mean of just how poor the building has fared over the past several years. And sadly enough, the building actually got shut down just a couple of months before Hurricane Irma struck, and it got hit pretty hard. And you'll see what I mean here in just a minute, but we're gonna take a little tour of the outside. Obviously I can't really go in here, but you guys can see just how badly all this stuff is banged up here, how bad the pool area is, not really being maintained. The pool is obviously empty and drained. So this big set of windows that you see right here is like the grand ballroom that they have here at the Deauville. And I was actually in a movie in there before. You can go look this up. There's a scene from the movie Confessions of a Shopaholic. That was the movie. and I was in that movie, and part of the scene that I was in was shot right in that ballroom there. There's like a big panoramic shot of the ballroom, bunch of people in there standing over there. If you look closely enough, you'll probably be able to see me in the movie, but that's not really the point. You guys will get to see how the place looked back then when it was fully functional and operational. If you know Miami Beach at all, Art Basel is a big event that we have every single year here, and all along here are more ballrooms that the Deauville has, where they used to host all these art shows inside. And I'll throw up some pictures on the screen so you guys can see some of the exhibits that we saw here over the years. And I really missed that about the Deauville actually the most, because they used to put on all these art exhibits here every December for Art Basel, totally for free. So you could just walk in here and see all this cool art every single year. And unfortunately, ever since the place has been shut down, that's no longer the case. I'm coming out to the beach here now so you guys can see this whole wrapping that they have on all of the balconies on the backside of the building. And they ended up putting this up shortly after COVID started. And that's when I noticed that some of the concrete was starting to fall off of this place. And they had a whole scaffolding crew out here to put up this huge sheet that you can see has basically been torn to shreds by the weather and from trespassers sneaking in and ripping holes in it. And basically the whole point is it's one of those construction nets to catch any falling debris so it doesn't fall right on the boardwalk and kill someone, because obviously that could easily happen, because literally the boardwalk is right underneath the building. And then if you look up here where you see right there where that one's all torn open, that unit in the Deauville in particular actually got completely busted open by Hurricane Irma. The entire glass and window and door and everything got caved in from the storm and busted out that whole place up there. And I'm sure the entire building saw some pretty severe damage from that storm, especially since no one could ever actually go back in this place legally after it was shut down back in 2017. And I actually have a friend who owns a unit here, because yes, back in the day you could actually own units at the Deauville Hotel, and I believe it's that one right here. So Iris, if you see this video, I'm referring to you. Iris is a good friend of mine, and her family owned this unit here for I think 30 plus years. And it's really sad because actually inside the apartment is all of her stuff still sitting in there, and she was never allowed to go back in there and retrieve it. They never let her do it. So it's kind of a sad situation, really. So now that we're up close and personal, you can see just how close the building is to the boardwalk. And they actually don't allow buildings to be this close to the boardwalk anymore. Now they have setback rules where there needs to be like a 50-foot setback or something like that further back than the Deauville is. But back in 1957 when they built this, they didn't have that. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous to have this place here right now, because if more and more chunks keep falling off the building, you know, and people are literally walking right here. You can see families walk by here every day. You know, Lizzie walks by here with the dogs. There's another woman walking the dog right there. It can be dangerous if chunks of this building start coming down. So that's the main reason they're going to be tearing this place down. On top of that, they went in there about a month ago and did an assessment and an engineering report like they did on a lot of the other buildings here in Miami after the collapse. And they determined that the building's basically beyond repair and it cannot be saved. And I agree with that assessment. This place has been empty almost 5 years, been exposed to all of the elements. There's no running water or electricity inside the building, so the amount of mold and, you know, gunk inside there and wild animals and who knows what else going on. Like right here you can see people used to sneak in right here all the time. People will come, bust this down, and somehow sneak in through here. I don't know how they exactly got into the building, but this was a common occurrence that was happening. So not only is it an eyesore at this point, but it's just a danger for the neighborhood. And you can see right here one of the spots where the concrete literally is falling off of the building. So, and this is just one example. If you get up close and personal to this building, which is impossible for me, obviously, unless I could fly, you could see that there's other parts of this building that are literally falling apart like this. And that's only what you can see on the outside. So imagine how bad the inside is. Now, a lot of people are upset that they're going to be tearing this place down. You know, you have like the preservation board people saying you can't tear it down. It's a Miami Beach classic and all of this. And, you know, and if the place was still in good condition, I would agree. You know, they should try to save it. But it's not, guys. The thing is, this place is dilapidated. You know, you saw how bad the outside looks. I can only imagine how bad the inside looks. So they definitely do need to demolish it. And apparently, by the summer, this whole place is going to be leveled. So I'll keep you guys posted on that in the future whenever the place actually does go down. Hopefully I can get some footage of whenever they're actually, you know, imploding the building, something like that. Might be pretty neat. But from what I understand, according to Miami Beach's most recent memo, now that they have the permit to demolish this entire place, get this, they're supposed to actually rebuild the Deauville Hotel brick for brick once this whole place is down. So I can't wait to see if that's actually going to happen. I feel like that's such a long shot. I'll believe it when I see it. I feel like once the place is down, they're going to convince somebody. There's going to be money exchanged, you know, into the right hands. That's going to basically approve something else to be built here. That's my thought on what will probably happen. But as it stands right now, they're supposed to actually rebuild this entire Deauville Hotel that you see behind me back to its original glory. So that'll be something to see. So either way, it's kind of an interesting story to follow. So I think one of the most interesting things about this demolition is that this is a wake-up call of what could happen to any of these buildings here in Miami, or really anywhere for that matter, if things aren't kept up with, if not enough maintenance is done to keep the building going, then basically you're going to end up like this eventually, because one day the city will come in and say, hey, this is unfit to live in and something needs to be done about it. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, you're going to want to check out this one right over here about what happens when a condo dies, because the story is a little bit similar but also sort of different, and you might find that interesting, and I'll see you guys over there.